Brian, I've heard about the 1031 exchange, but there's also the 1033 exchange. Can you tell me more about what that is?
Yeah, so the Section 1031 exchange is where we sell investment real estate and buy replacement investment real estate, whether that's investment real estate that you actively manage or passive investment real estate like a Delaware statutory trust. Now sometimes we sell real estate or receive money for it and we didn't want to sell it in the first place. That's called an involuntary conversion. So some examples of an involuntary conversion are fire, maybe a hurricane where you receive insurance proceeds. Another one is where eminent domain, where the state has decided to take, build a highway through your property, and they say, all right, here's some money for it, we're going to take it from you. So in those examples where you had to relinquish your property or your property was destroyed due to circumstances outside of your control, that's where the other code section kicks in. And one of the big differences between it and a 1031 exchange is you have a lot more time to make the decision on whether you want to reinvest in other replacement real estate.
Brian, who is this strategy best suited for?
Yeah, there's been a lot of, obviously fire, that's easy one. Something burnt down your house, you got a big insurance check, and you want to, rather than rebuild the house there, you've decided to buy something else. But there's been a lot of hurricane areas, wildfire, some of the natural disasters we've been having, tornadoes, those kinds of things. I think the biggest one anymore though is eminent domain. I mean, when if the city of Charlotte says, we're going to build a new highway, well, guess what? They're buying a lot of property. Or Sound Transit up in our area says we're going to build a railway, cutting right through everything. Well, they just took a lot of property, and a lot of people are going, oh, gee, I have this money now, and I'm going to have to pay tax.
So, Brian, there are a lot of advantages to the 1033 exchange. What are some of the reasons why someone would not want to take advantage of that?
Yeah, sometimes, you've got your proceeds from the fire, the casualty, or the eminent domain, and you just don't want to be buying real estate again. It's not something you want to do. Now, there is one of the things you can do is if you don't want to be a active landlord anymore, you can do a Delaware statutory trust with 1031 or 1033 exchange money. But maybe you just want to pay the tax, you're not in a high tax bracket, you want to keep things simple, you got this check, it's liquid, you just don't even want to mess with doing an exchange into other real estate, you just want to be done with it. I mean, maybe something burned down your stuff and you're just kind of over it, you don't want to be in real estate anymore. So those would be some of the reasons why you would not do a 1033 exchange.
Brian, what are some of the other benefits to doing a 1033 exchange beyond those that you've already mentioned?
Yeah, I can give you a story that I've had this conversation many times, especially with Sound Transit, where somebody owns a $5 million property, at least that's what they think it's worth, and then Sound Transit comes along and says, well, we're going to take your property. Well, I don't want to sell it. Too bad, so sad. Eminent domain, we're taking your property, but we're going to buy it at its fair market value. Oh, you're going to give me $5 million? No, we're going to give you $3 million, and that's all we're going to give you, and we're not going to give you the 5. And I'm like, great, I didn't want to sell it. I'm only going to get $3 million instead of 5, and I just visited my CPA. He says I got to pay tax on the whole $3 million. I didn't want to sell in the first place. That's right. So it's really a bad situation, but it can be solved to some degree with this. So if that wasn't bad enough, you can at least take your $3 million, not pay income tax, and do a Section 1033 exchange. You've got 2 full years to find your replacement property. If you can't find something, you can do a Delaware statutory trust, or if you don't want to find active real estate, you can do a Delaware statutory trust. That does qualify for a 1033 exchange.
Brian, can you give me an example of someone who has used a 1033 exchange?
Yeah, I had someone that actually had a couple of these happen to them. They lost one house in a fire and one to Sound Transit with eminent domain. And so they were actually able to do both. So, and they were, a year or two apart from each other, less than 2 years apart from each other. So we were able to do a series of Delaware statutory trusts where they had the money in the bank. This is an example where you don't need a qualified intermediary, by the way. you can have the money in your bank for up to 2 years. So because it was taken and the property was, and it wasn't your choice, you have the 2 years to buy your replacement property. A lot of people, as I mentioned, do a DST as their replacement property.
Brian, the 1033 exchange, very interesting concept. Thanks for telling us more about that.
You got it.